Hello, everybody, and a very warm-hearted welcome. I'm Fran Rose Bullock, cancer survivor and founder of the Cancer Fitness Expert, and you're listening to the Thrive After Cancer pop-up podcast, where I am joined by experts in recovery to bring you a wellness toolkit to support you in your cancer recovery journey. So, in today's episode, I'm joined by the lovely Kiana Berry Brown. Welcome, Kiana.
Hello, how are you?
Very well. It's lovely to have you with us.
I
Uh,
know.
just to say, so Kiana, I'll let you tell everybody a bit more about yourself, but you're a pelvic floor physical therapist
Yes, I am.
and your strap line, I just want to make a point, your strap line or your trademark is to help you get laid pain free.
Yes, that is it. And it's in my bio. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help women who have pelvic dysfunction, painful intimacy, to be able to thrive in their sex life.
Brilliant. Yeah, incredible work and much needed. And
Yes.
yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey and how you became to, doing what you do now?
Yes, absolutely, because it was a journey, honestly. So I have my doctorate in physical therapy, and initially, I actually wasn't in the pelvic floor field at all. I was an orthopedic physical therapist. I also specialized in pain science, aquatic therapy, and pediatrics. And pelvic floor was not on my radar at all until I experienced pelvic floor dysfunction myself. And as a physical therapist, I knew that pelvic floor was available to me. So I decided to jump all in. I was diagnosed with something called pelvic floor dysfunction and vaginismus. And for me, I was feeling so helpless at the time. I was like, oh my goodness, like I just dedicated my whole life to education. And the one time that I want to just thrive and enjoy my life, I get slapped with the pelvic floor disorder. And I had a fork in the road, and I could either not do anything, feel a little helpless, or I could do something about it. So I dove all the way in headfirst into pelvic floor physical therapy, and I was able to completely cure that part of me.
Mm,
And now I am a pelvic floor physical therapist, and I offer that to other women who are having the exact same experience, but may not know where to start, may not know how to start, or even if there's a possibility to
hmm
start. And I'm trying to give that glimmer of hope and empowering women and people who really want to change and want to be able to embrace life how they deserve to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that started my journey. And I thought, what's the best way for me to get the word out there? Because there are a lot of women like me, older and younger, who are experiencing the same thing, but feel very isolated. And it can be very isolated because pelvic floor dysfunction is such a taboo thing.
hmm
In so many cultures, even talking about sex is such a taboo thing.
hmm
And there's a lot of educational disparities among us. And I want to be able to bridge that gap. So, naturally, I got on Instagram and I started building up a community and creating resources. I created and published ebooks to help women and people who really want to take their health into their own hands
Yep.
and feel empowered to be able to do that without having to rely on somebody.
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. And of course, for us and our audience today, like having, my personally, I've experienced many of these symptoms and issues thanks to chemo and early menopause. We've got all yeah, just so many elements. Even, if our cancer wasn't in that area, if even if we've had brain cancer
Mhm.
or something, we're still affected in this way. And I just feel that, like you say, it's quite taboo still. If your doctor brings it up, yes, we can talk about it, but if it's down to us to bring it up, it's complicated.
Yeah.
And it's great to know that there are things we can do, we can do for ourselves. And even if it's just little baby steps, just going in the right direction and refinding that spark, that little flutter.
A little flutter.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I often find that even in the medical world is not as prevalent knowledge either. And I make it a big thing to um, educate and empower other people in the healthcare field as well to be able to see these signs and direct people to the correct method of treating themselves or the correct person or specialty.
Mhm.
Because medical burnout is a real thing, especially if you've gone through chemotherapy, if you've been stuck with needles, if you have trauma in the medical field because of cancer or your journey through it. The last thing I want to do is, okay, now there's another thing that I have to figure out.
Mhm.
And I think it's so important for everyone to understand where to guide to the correct place so that you're not handed off so many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. Yeah. And you feel understood.
Yeah.
And because it's really distressing. It really is. And I think you can feel very alone, and it's not something that everybody wants to talk about. So, yeah, it's amazing to have these resources. Because I wanted to talk to you, yeah, a little bit more about like the psychological side of sex, because of course libido is a huge thing that can be quite, yeah, majorly affected by all of these
Yes.
treatments. Yeah. What do you see, and what do you sort of suggest to people when this is happening?
Let's bring out the whiteboard because I was
Oh.
waiting to answer this question. I try to have visual cues,
Love it.
you
Yeah.
know. All right. So I'm actually going to write an equation for libido, and we're going to kind of break it down. And what I love about my ebook, The Partner Plan, is that a lot of these concepts are built into it. So let's talk about libido. So we have libido here. I don't know if it's backwards or not.
No,
Is
that's
it?
good.
Okay, cool. So we got libido. So what makes our libido? So one, we have physical factors. So we have physical factors, and this could be hormonal issues, hormonal imbalances. This can be fatigue from chemo, or even after the chemo is complete, fatigue from even the idea of it, or fatigue because you haven't gotten yourself back to that physical baseline before chemo. All right. Physical factors can also be a lot of chemotherapy and radiation therapy can cause our pelvic floor muscles to tighten up a little bit more. It'll shorten those muscle fibers. It'll make the fascia a little bit more tighter.
Mhm.
And that can also contribute to painful sex. And I'll have a model to kind of explain that a little bit more. So there's a lot to physical factors. I kind of am in this area because physical factors are such a big thing when it comes to our libido and our sexual desire, because our clitoral area is a very physical thing, very. So we'll get to that in a second. So then let's get to the second part, mental health. And when we think of mental health, sometimes we say, well, maybe they have a mental disorder. This can be stress. This can be anxiety. This can be a lack of connection, feeling isolated, feeling alone. All of that goes into our mental health. If I feel isolated, alone, forgotten, and very stressed out, the last thing I want to do is enter into the arena of sex, right? I feel like I have to perform. I feel like, is my body going to perform? There's a lot of stress and factors that come into these two together. And so it's not just, okay, something huge like, do I have to take medication or anything like that? It could simply be I've had a very long day and sex does not sound very appealing to me right now. And I don't want to be put in that position. And my body also doesn't. So these two are extremely connected. And I actually write a lot about pain neuroscience in my vaginismus book. And we talk about the correlation between our central nervous system, which is our brain, and our body. So let's keep going. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, 3, relationship quality. Relationship quality. Now, a lot of people think this is, am I still in love or not? Well, I would challenge you to think a little bit outside or more broader, because relationships are a lot more than just, am I in love? There's commitment, right? There is connectivity, connection. I may love someone but not feel completely connected to them. Communication, feeling understood. So a lot of times when we throw around the love word, like, man, I feel like, am I still in love? We're actually seeing it from the opposite side. The right thing to think is, am I connected to this person who I have love for? And that brings us into that relationship quality. There is a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of fear, a lot of embarrassment when it comes to going back into that sexual arena. And that can also target our mental health. So you see how everything's kind of connecting a little bit? All right, I won't be I'll have one more. So I won't stay too long on this. The last one is excitement. Like, do I even want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why this is separate from the others is because I can be excited about sex and excited about feeling good, but I still may be stressed. I may want to have sex so badly, but my body won't let me. I may really want to have sex, even though I don't feel connected. And so this is a very personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very personal because we have to remind ourselves that we deserve pleasure, regardless if it's with a partner or not. And there's a way, a tangible way to improve our excitement. And thus, if we affect these things, our libido can be fostered. I hope you enjoyed my little whiteboard.
Love it. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel like I
super.
took you to school or something.
Back to
Okay.
school.
I know. Um, so
Sex ed
this,
like never before.
yeah. So I think that this is a really great way to kind of visualize the building blocks that you can have. And the question I get is, okay, thank you. However, how do I even do that? And I think we can definitely break it down a little bit more. And that's what my partner plan does,
Mm,
specifically for couples.
yes. Yeah. I have read it and it is excellent. Really, really super.
Thank you. Thank
And you're going
you.
to make that available, I know, for our listeners. So that's super
Yes, I
exciting.
will.
So
And
they,
here I'll pull it up on my iPad.
yeah.
Oh, if it'll do it. Maybe not.
Yeah, because there's so many other layers, aren't there, as well, to yay, there it is.
There's
And
partner plan.
I'll be putting a link in the show notes. Don't really
Perfect.
worry. But there's also, yeah, I mean, so many layers, aren't there? Like body image, culture, our upbringing, all of these things that already we've got.
Mhm.
And then of course we throw in the cancer diagnosis or some other serious illness and yeah, it makes it very yeah, it can make it quite complicated. And I think trying to simplify it already is very helpful, bringing it
Mhm.
back to almost the basics
Yeah,
and
bring it back to the base.
rebuilding. Yeah,
Hmm.
and rebuilding, reframing, recreating something, perhaps a new way of seeing sex as well, not always
Hmm.
in the same way we've always seen it. I know you talk about sort of less the P in V, I know you say.
Yes,
It
less P
doesn't
and
always,
V.
yeah, like it doesn't always have to just be that. It's the foreplay, it's the self-care. I mean, yeah, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, I
Sure.
do, because I think there's such a huge misconception. Um, P and V, and that's just P and V, if you can, if you can
You're watching
think of
this.
it like that. Yeah. P and V is usually the conclusion of a lot of background work.
Hmm.
And good sex is usually the climax of a lot of foundation work that happened before. And so when I tell people, you don't have to have penetrative sex to encourage intimacy. Let's reframe what even sex looks like to you. Because often when we think of sex, we think of, oh, well, P and V. That's the end all be all. That's just absolutely not true at all. And it's so important to understand that sex is such a intimate moment that can happen, and also intimate moments can happen outside of sex. Usually whenever I'm trying to help build libido in a client, or trying to reframe sex, I usually try to explain to them that that intimacy has to happen outside of sexual intimacy.
Hmm.
So the intimacy that you can foster, the connectivity that you can foster with yourself and with a partner has to happen before you even venture into penetrative sex. And the reason being for that is it's such a emotional, mental, and physical climax and physical moment for a person that if you don't have that foundation work, you are missing out. And it
Hmm.
won't be as pleasing or connective as you think it will. So I usually tell people to start off with finding and understanding what sex means to you, and you're going to really see your belief system. So I have some people who tell me, well, sex is just whenever my male partner finishes, and then that's sex. And that's a very unfortunate idea because it's very one-sided. I also think it's very important to, on the other side of the coin, it's not very fair to your partner for you to not enjoy it either,
Hmm.
because it's going to be very one-sided. And I'm sure if they are a very caring and loving partner, that they would want you to enjoy and find pleasure the exact same way they are.
Mm.
That's where a lot of the rift comes in. There's a big gap between the embarrassment, the shame, the stress, the anxiety, the feeling like I have to perform. We can wash all this away through building and fostering connection outside of it. So I usually tell clients, I want you to take a break
Mm.
from P and V sex. And they're
Mm.
like, but that's what I want. I'm like, I know. But before we can get to what you want, we have to establish a foundation that will maintain what you want for the rest of your life, because
Mhm.
it's not about P and V. It's about building connection, building intimacy, being
Mhm.
vulnerable with the
Mhm.
partner.
Mhm.
Um, and in my book, in the partner plan, I kind of break that down on the couple's calendar. And I can kind of bring it up so I can just show it in the camera. The couple's calendar is a really, really great way to simplify where to begin to build connection.
Mhm.
And I'll read a little bit. For the next 2 weeks, you're going to use this page to schedule specific activities below. And you're going to be very interested to see that none of the activities have to do with P and V sex. None of them.
Excellent. Yeah.
None of them.
I love
And
that.
I
Yeah.
I often see that takes so much pressure. Like, oh, I
Yes.
don't have to, I don't have to like feel pressure to do it. Like,
Yeah.
no, because you can build connection outside of that, and you should.
Yeah, because it's the emotional bond, it's that communication. And sometimes if the physical's there, it can take over and we forget to communicate because we
Yeah.
feel like that was a way of it is a way of communicating. But if we, yeah, it's true. It's like if you want to run a marathon, you have to do the base work. You have to get
Yeah.
fit first, and it's the same sort of, analogy, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking away the pressure of
Mm.
participating in penetrative sex, I think opens a lot of doors to building a libido, a lot of doors to creating connection.
Mm.
And I make it in a way where we are considering each party. And
Yeah.
it's not just about one person more than the other, it's togetherness.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so important that what you said, communication is so important. And I think a lot of people have a lot of fear. Or let's say you have someone a female who physically they don't have a libido, mentally they're very stressed out. They feel a lot of embarrassment and guilt for not being able to participate in that. They're
Mm.
feeling the trauma of what they've just gone through and feel like, well, I'm cancer free now, but I feel broken
Yeah.
still. And then you have a partner who wants something, but they're afraid. They maybe see their partner as fragile. They may be afraid to communicate how they feel because they want to be very considerate, but they also feel unheard. And there is a very tangible way to bridge that gap and create conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know you said that you get actually a lot of partners contact you,
Yes, a
um,
lot of partners contact me
because they
on
need
behalf
help
of
to,
their.
yeah, because I mean, yeah, they're calling out for help as well to make that connection.
Yeah.
So it's not, there's a lack of want. I think it's like you say, it's the fear, isn't it? And it's actually quite a nervy thing to talk about, even with your partner. Because if you
Mhm.
haven't talked about it for years, like a lot of people don't, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tricky one. Sometimes you need a third party just to,
Sometimes.
yeah,
Or I would say instead of just a third party, if you don't have the right tool, you won't be able to build a house.
yeah,
If I gave someone a screwdriver and I said, "Can you build me a house?" It would be very difficult. But if I gave someone the correct tools, the lumber, the saw, the nails, and I gave them the tools to be able to build a house, that house will be secure. That
mm,
foundation will be level.
yes,
And I really do think it's giving people the right tools to actually meet their goals so that they don't have to rely on me.
yeah.
I don't want you to have to rely on me at all. I always tell people, I'm going to give you these things. I'm going to help you reach your goals. And I never want to see you again
Yeah.
because I want you to not need me at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
You can say hi, but I want you to be able to feel empowered to do this
Mm.
on your own and feel like confident in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And know that you've done it yourself. I think that's
Yes.
so important as
Yes.
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, I love that. So talking of tools, I see you've got some gadgets and
I
tools on the
do.
table. Is there anything you want? Yes, anything you want to tell us about? So with the lovely Amanda as well, we
Mhm.
did talk a little bit about the pelvic wand and the dilator,
Yes.
but feel free to, show
Yeah,
us.
I love these things. I love Amanda. But
Yeah.
yes, I have a few little things here, and I'm sure everyone was looking like, what the heck is that? But I wanted to kind of bridge the gap with the physical and mental part.
Mm,
And kind of the first start of your journey should be educating yourself. If you don't really understand or are connected to your pelvic floor and to your vagina, to your clitoral area, then it's going to be very hard to begin that journey of enjoying sex when you don't really understand what is going on or what it is. And so that bridges the gap between physical and mental because one, you are exploring yourself and you're also telling yourself it's okay. And this exploration doesn't have a goal. It's just for me to connect with my body.
mm.
And for those who don't know what this is, I actually asked my followers, what do you think this is? And what does it look like? And I kept getting, it looks like a coat hanger. And,
Yes.
or it looks like what we said, a little woman standing, So this is actually your full clitoris. And people are always shocked, like, it's that big. In some people, it can be as big as 5 inches. And that's
Mm.
actually pretty big.
Wow.
The only part that you actually visibly see is the very head
Hmm.
right here. But underneath all that skin is this beautiful goddess. I'm going to kind of explain what that looks like and why it's so important when we build libido and when we are getting ready, geared up for pleasure. So right here, here's your pelvic floor. This is all the muscle. There's skin over this, but underneath this is where all these muscles are. It's a lot of muscles, actually. All of your organs are packed in here. You have your bladder, your uterus, your rectum. Here's your spine. Here's your sitting bone. You see how close everything really is? Underneath all of this is nerves and blood circulation, blood supply, and fascia. So there's actually a lot going on around here.
Yeah.
So let's cue in our clitoris. So it kind of sits right here underneath this muscle. And when a woman or a female gets aroused, this neck actually erects like a little micro penis. That's what people don't know, is that it actually erects up. And that might
Hmm.
be like, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it's not just this one spot. All of this, the arms, the legs, you can stimulate this as well to improve your libido. Now, the clitoris is a big bundle of nerves and they have a pretty big blood supply. And I think you're asking me a question beforehand of how do I increase my libido? How do I nurture my sexual organs? Do I have to masturbate? Should I have sex a lot? What do I do? And the answer to that was yes, and. And I wanted to kind of get into the and part. The yes and part is remember, this is a physical thing. It's your clitoris right here. You have muscles and blood supply here. You don't necessarily have to masturbate to be able to nurture this at all, actually. On my page, I have a lot of exercises that actually improve the blood supply, the flexibility, the stability of the pelvis. It helps bring all of the nice nutrients that you would use during sex and helps nurture these organs. So I have a lot of women who are waiting for marriage and they're like, what do I do? I'm like, well, there's actually a lot that you can do to nurture your sexual side.
Hmm.
Um, and I just think it's so important to understand that your clitoris is so much more than a little dot for the size of a pea. It's
Hmm.
so much more. And you can stimulate the other parts of this without just going straight on. Some people, when they go straight on, it's just overwhelming. It's just too
Hmm.
much. So I told them, hey, there's more to your clitoris than just the head. Try the bulb right here. Try stretching those inner thighs. Try allowing your hands to caress and touch just the inner thigh alone.
Hmm.
Try down training your nervous system and those nerves that are a little bit too excited. Try
Hmm.
bringing your body into more of a parasympathetic, calm, restful state to
Hmm.
be able to draw in more of that relaxation for
Hmm.
whenever you do want to start having PMV sex. So
Yes.
there is so much that you can do physically outside of just having sex and masturbating to actually nurture that side of you.
Mm. Yeah. I think that's great because I know how we can feel fragile. We go into this sort of protective mode where it's like, get away from me. And I think, like you say, it's like desensitizing that area because if you've had painful sex and then, of course, someone is coming towards you, you tense up. It's
Yeah.
natural. It's
Mhm.
normal. You know, if you've had a negative situation, you don't want to repeat it.
Yeah.
And so I think that, yeah, just sort of like you say, reconnecting with that area, in introducing touch, introducing sensation that is non-threatening, if you
Yeah.
like, that is so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
With
Yeah.
yourself and with the partner. I know
Mhm.
Amanda probably talked about dilators and how to use them and whatnot. And when it comes to connection, I had a follower asked me this question of how I'm so good at my dilators and I have no pain whatsoever with the dilators. But the moment my partner comes close to me, like you said, I tense up and it just won't go in.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, you know, why don't we try this? While you're dilating, why don't you allow your partner in your safe space,
Mm-hmm.
trusting them that you are in this vulnerable state, you're safe with them. I
Mm-hmm.
even say you can go as far as to allow your partner to put their hand over yours while you dilate, because that's such an incredible, vulnerable moment that you can create as an opportunity, because sex is a very vulnerable moment as well. So
Mm-hmm.
if you've found safety in yourself, in your own vulnerability, you can begin gradually allowing your partner into that space so that your body knows you're okay and
Yeah.
they're okay to be here as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. And breaking down those
Yeah.
barriers, those
Yeah.
blocks bit by bit. Yeah. That is such good advice.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
scary at first because
Mm.
being vulnerable is such a scary thing.
Yeah.
And vulnerability doesn't end. It's a constant renewal of
Mm-hmm.
being vulnerable with someone. Even if you've been with a person. I had a 77-year-old, and they gave me permission to talk about this story. But for 15 years, they had issues. And a lot of the issues that you'll find with people who have gone through chemo radiation or who have gone through, let's say, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, or anything like that, you're going to notice some hypertonicity in the muscles that can
Mm-hmm.
lead to urge incontinence, bladder issues, rectal incontinence, vaginal thinning, the walls thinning. And
Yeah.
for 15 years, this person had a specific issue. And after 4 sessions, just 4 sessions, they told me, I cannot believe it, but I'm 77. I've been with my partner for I don't even know how long. We've had the best sex of our whole life
Wow.
in this moment.
Wow.
And there's always hope.
Yeah.
There's never lack of hope. They were like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel so connected. I feel like we've renewed this sense of intimacy that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know was there. I'm 77.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was
Crazy.
such an empowering moment. And I said, "Can I share your story?" She was like, "Absolutely," because
Yes.
people need to know
Yes.
that it's never too late.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Maybe it can be better than ever. I mean,
Yeah, maybe it can.
yeah, absolutely. You've given me hope that it
Yeah,
can.
hope is only dangerous when fear is involved.
Hmm.
Hope is such a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
And I think for a lot of survivors, hope is scary.
Yeah,
And
it is.
to put your faith into something
Hmm.
and feel disappointed afterwards, for some people, that's not something they want to risk.
Hmm.
And I think it's very important that they understand that they're heard and within their own time, it's important.
Hmm.
Um, and that's why when we kind of simplify everything, instead of tackling everything, do one thing. Do
Yeah.
just one small, minuscule thing can actually make a very big impact in your overall life and your overall
Hmm.
well-being.
Yeah. And yeah, if you could start to see little changes by doing one thing, then of course it gives you that motivation, that drive to then to do a little bit more,
Yeah.
something else. Yeah, which is key, isn't it? Yeah.
It's so key.
Mm,
Yeah, you're not alone.
mm, yeah. Yeah, that's so important for people to know. Mm. Kiana, you're fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes. So right now I'm mainly out of my Instagram. It's VG plus me, and that's VGPlusme. And you can also find me online vgplusme.com. And what may be a lot simpler for you is I have a link tree in my Instagram that connects you to everything: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. My online store is also connected there.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely check out the partner plan if you just don't know where to start, where to begin on your
Yes.
sexual journey with the
Mm-hmm.
partner. And
Mm-hmm.
just understanding that you're not alone and that you have support, you have a community, and there is hope.
Mm. Yes, I love that. Oh, fabulous. Well, thank you so, so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to our listeners. And please feel free to share this podcast with friends, loved ones, anyone that may benefit. And join me, Fran Rose Bullock, very soon for the next episode of Thrive After Cancer. Thank you. Thanks again, Kiana.
Of
See you
course.
soon.